Every baseball fan's been there, right? Bases loaded, full count, and then boom. The umpire makes a terrible strike call in the eyes of many. There's no way to really debunk it or prove it or disprove it until now. Enter MLB's automatic ball strike system, or as a lot of you have grown to know it now, ABS. It's been brought up in spring training. Want to address what it is, how it works, the pros and cons, and whether or not robo-umps truly are the future of baseball, or if we're going to stick with the human element in the long run. Well, first, let's start out by describing what the ABS system actually is. The ABS system is Major League Baseball's attempt to take human error out of calling balls and strikes. Instead of relying on an umpire's judgment, the system is using advanced cameras and radar to track pitches in real time. It determines if the pitch is in the strike zone, then relays that information to the home plate umpire through an earpiece. But then again, we've also seen the video boards showing the replay and the review system courtesy of the ABS technology. It's actually very similar to tennis. If you've ever watched Wimbledon, the line judge will make the out call, or they won't say anything if the ball is declared in. And if a player feels there's grounds for challenging where that ball hit, the appeal goes to technology. Now back to baseball, we've seen reviews in other instances, right? So the game is modernizing, but specifically with the ABS system, this technology has been tested in the minor leagues since 2019, so we're going on a 5-year demo now. And in 2024, MLB expanded its use to AAA with different variations. Now, how does this thing work? Well, the ABS system uses multiple high-speed cameras positioned around the stadium, and it tracks the ball's location from the release off the pitcher's hand into the catcher's mitt and ultimately when it crosses the plate. Now, if any part of the ball touches the strike zone, it is declared a strike. Now think about this. If an umpire is wrong on something, yeah, maybe a team doesn't enjoy the fact that they have to burn one of their challenges. They might be displeased with that, but you might not be getting as many animated arguments, ejections, or even suspensions, which helps everybody. Now there's a couple of options here. We could go full ABS. That means the system calls every single pitch, and the umpire is basically just the messenger. They're relaying the decision. I don't know if a little delay would be there or if this would be instantaneous, since we've only seen the second version of this tested in large sample sizes as of late, and that would be the challenge system. So the umpires will call the game as usual, but each team gets a limited number of challenges per game to contest a ball or strike call, similar to Hawkeye in tennis, like I just brought up. So if you get a certain amount of challenges wrong, goodbye. That's a possibility for the future of this system. You've essentially burned your challenges. Kind of think NFL, right? You only get a couple wrong and then it's over. The challenge concept's pretty quick. Challenges are resolved instantaneously. No long delays, which I know is a concern for some. All a player has to do is tap their head. We peek up at the screen and there's your answer. And then we move on to business as usual, which is relatively quick compared to years past since we do live in the pitch clock era now. Pros and cons of the ABS system. Here's what I've come up with for a list. Pros would be accuracy, consistency, and a not-so-disruptive pace in the process. The accuracy part is great for both parties. Teams don't feel as if they've been ripped off of a certain call. They can physically challenge something now, which has not been the case in the past. And umpires, on the other hand, are going to feel vindicated at times. Because if they make a call and people disagree with it and then it's upheld, you can't really argue against technology. And according to the Sports Rush, AAA games were extended by an average of 17 seconds per game with the addition of this feature. So the worries about pace of play, there's not much of an argument there, really, when you consider that sample size. For cons, we've got strike zone adjustments. Some players do make the argument that the zone feels a little too strict compared to human umps. Let's pitch, pun intended, a hypothetical here. The Giants are up 17-2 on the Diamondbacks in the 8th inning. The game is all but over. But theoretically, if we went full ABS, the walks might stack up a little more than we'd like, especially if there's a position player in there. At that point, you're hoping the hitters swing and we just get on with pace of play. But some issues could arise there. Some people grow a little more lenient to a larger strike zone when the game feels out of hand, and that element is essentially lost if we went full ABS. Umpire is just the messenger relaying the message. The human element is another one for cons. Fans and players, some of them, actually love the drama of arguing with umpires. It's a spectacle, much like the fighting in hockey. Some people watch baseball games for the field manager versus crew chief verbal boxing matches. Potential technological error is the last component. No system is perfect. Glitches can happen. So another hypothetical, what happens if there's a ball that is so blatantly outside, it's called a strike, the challenge happens, and I don't know, the system shows that ball went right down the middle, despite every single replay angle indicating that that was not the case. Do we just trust that and chalk it up to bad luck? A few steps that may need to be considered if we do implement the ABS in any capacity. League takeaways, a little nugget here for you. 51% of challenged calls in AAA were overturned, so players are getting the hang of this and actually have pretty solid intuition when it comes to the ABS challenge system from the start. Some players love it, saying it removes any type of bias because it is a robot, while others argue that the art of catching and framing pitches is being lost, which, okay, that's actually a very fair point. That's one of the main components scouts are looking at in modern day catchers. Yes, there's pop time, everything else. Can you keep the ball in front? But how many strikes can you buy? And I guess if a catcher does a really good job of framing it, maybe there aren't challenges on those certain calls. But MLB hasn't committed to full implementation of the big leagues just yet. Again, as you've probably seen by now, it's being tested throughout spring training, a bit of a demo run at the major league level. But it's clear that automated strike zones are coming in some capacity. My question for all of you, let me know in the comment section below, are we going to go full strike zone, partial strike zone, so ABS challenge system, or do we just keep the human element all the way through and accept that some bad calls are going to be made and not overturned? Let me know what you think in the comment section below, along with any video suggestions. Like and subscribe if you enjoy minor league baseball, and we'll see you in the next one.